Hi, my name is Caitlin Orr, and I'm the reading specialist at Newcomb School. I just want to thank you for coming to my professional development workshop today. I'm excited to work with all of you today, especially because you're coming from different content areas. First, if you don't mind taking a minute to introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Will, and I am a math teacher.
Hi, my name is Kelly, and I'm a language arts teacher.
Okay. To start off the workshop, I just wanted to do a little icebreaker to let you know what we're going to be focusing on today during the workshop. So, at your tables you have a note card that looks like this. There's 4 questions on it, and please choose which one you'd like to respond to, and you can use the dry erase boards to do so, and I will be doing it as well. It's okay. Alright. Before we understand the purpose of this icebreaker, would anyone like to share what they have written?
Oh.
Kelly?
I chose the first one. It says, what do you value most in life, and explain. And I chose my family. I think they're the most thing I value in life. Without them, I don't feel I'd have the support to enjoy the other things in life, to enjoy your vacation and the support to achieve the things that you want to in life without their backing. So that's what I chose for my most important thing.
Thank you. Anyone else like to share?
I chose the second one. What is your favorite travel destination and why? I said my favorite travel destination is Punta Cana because I always travel there during the summer, and I'm able to relax on the beach and just enjoy myself.
Okay, thank you. I chose the one about what you enjoy doing in your spare time, and I put, in my spare time, I enjoy reading, scrapbooking, playing sports, and spending time with my family and friends. And I included those things because that's what's most enjoyable to me and it helps me relax. Okay, so if you guys could, pass them up, please. Thank you. How did writing that icebreaker help you? Any ideas?
It allowed me to gather my thoughts and basically allowed me to express them in words and just concentrate on the content area.
Okay.
I agree with Will. Did you say your name was?
Yes.
Sorry. It kind of makes you think, make you get your thoughts in order.
Okay. The reason why I included that icebreaker is to show you guys that, like you said, writing helps you organize your thoughts. It helps you think about what you're gonna share about, and the same thing is true for students. Writing, in no matter what content area they're in, helps them to organize their thoughts, think about what they're learning, show whether they understand something or don't understand something. So it can be useful for a lot of different ways. So our focus today is writing across the curriculum or writing in the content areas. Okay. So hopefully today you'll go back to your classroom with at least 3 specific strategies that will help you no matter what content area that you teach. Okay. Okay. Okay, so the first slide says the importance of the topic. So basically, the reason why I chose this topic for the presentation is that it's essential for all teachers, no matter what their content area, to be on board when it comes to including writing in their classrooms. It's not just about the literacy teachers. Writing can be used as a learning tool. Many teachers have not been adequately prepared to effectively use writing in their classrooms. And based off the needs assessment that I asked you guys to fill out, based off of our school, a lot of teachers stated that they have trouble including writing in their content area classrooms. They don't feel prepared, either from their college, undergrad, to include that in their classroom. So they said they needed additional workshops on how to do that. And teachers also stated that the district writing expectations are overwhelming, and that the district expects all teachers, and no matter what content area, to include writing, and a lot of teachers don't know how to do that. So it's not that they're not willing, it's that they don't understand how to include that. There's also a lot of research that supports writing across the content areas. I found one journal article in the middle school journal. It was titled "Teaching Content Through Writing Across the Curriculum." In the article, it stated that in writing, there's a great scope for students to write in many genres. It gives them space to explore the content knowledge that they are learning and connect it to their experiences, observations, and understandings of the world in ways that make sense to them. So basically, students can learn concepts within the subject area through writing, whether it's math, science, social studies. Content area subjects provide students with complex questions and topics that they can respond to through various forms of writing. And also, students are improving their writing and learning and learning new information at the same time. Writing in the content areas is writing to learn, while writing in language arts is focused on learning to write. So basically, the difference is the language arts teacher is teaching students how to write. They're focusing on their ideas, their organization, their word choice, their vocabulary, their openings, their closings. That's not what's happening in the content areas. The math or the science or the social studies teacher's not worried about that stuff. They're worried about using writing as a way to learn the content. So that's the difference that a lot of teachers don't understand. So it's commonly referred to in the content areas that writing is writing to learn, and language arts is learning to write. So that's kind of the difference. Also, in terms of support, I found 2 videos. The first one is a teacher testimonial, which is basically just about, I think it's 2 or 3 teachers talking about how they use science, how they use writing in their science classrooms. And then the second one is a video about researchers / authors and their book that they wrote about writing across the content areas. So we'll take a look at both of those, and while you're watching, just be mindful of what you're thinking about in terms of the videos so that you can share afterwards. loud enough?
Change that up a little bit, please.
Funding for this program is provided by Annenberg Media.
When I think about writing across the day or writing in the content area, I always get myself in a little trouble because I absolutely am thinking about authentic writing. I'm thinking about the kind of writing that a scientist would do when he's being a scientist. He wouldn't, if he was studying the stars, suddenly stop and make star poems. But he would take good field notes. He would keep a log or a journal. He would perhaps have intricate illustrations and photographs of stars and measurements, and he would even perhaps keep a journal of his thinking as he studies those stars. And my teaching still would not be around the writing. My teaching would be around the science or the history or the experiment that we've done. It would be around that. The writing instruction would have occurred in the writing workshop.
Yeah, my philosophy in using writing in other content areas is to try and use the language of that academic area. If we're doing science, I want them using terminology that a scientist would use so that it's real to them, not some set up thing that doesn't feel right and they wouldn't understand. So I want them using the language that a scientist would use or that a mathematician would use. They feel more important when they have that language, and I think they feel closer to the topic when they do. So to me, it's cool to see them using that language. And a lot of people think, well, they're too young, they can't understand what that term means, but they do. And when you give it to them and you explain why it is that way, they do understand. They can handle that.
It just doesn't make sense to me to not include writing or reading activities during my science class. I think writing and reading is something that happens in every subject area, and there are specific ways of reading in science, and there are specific ways of writing in science, and I think the students need to be aware of that and how that is different from.
Okay. So that's the first video. Those are the teacher testimonials, and then I'll let you watch the second one, and then we can share it after that. So the second one is basically research from two authors that wrote a book about writing in the content areas.
The main thing we'd like teachers to get out of this book is to feel empowered to go into their classrooms and use these strategies. We've divided the book into two main kinds of strategies. We have writing to learn strategies, which tend to be shorter, kind of easier to implement things and get stuff rolling in your classroom. And then we have a whole set of deeper, more complex, extended writing strategies. But the thing we're interested in is showing teachers how they can use writing to teach their subject matter better. It's not an add-on. Add in. We always say when we're talking to teachers, the first thing you have to do is subtract something before you make changes in what you're doing. So one of the things we really talk about a lot in the book is what does this stuff replace, not add to your burden.
One of the things I think we're trying to achieve in the book is to help teachers understand that when kids work with the material, rather than just listen to a lecture, when they write, jot down on a piece of paper an idea that they're struggling with, talk with each other about it, and then write, or write and then
So would anyone like to share any thoughts or reactions to the videos as you watch them? Will?
I like the second video. The second video, I think, had the main point that I liked about reiteration. Them talking and then writing it down enables them to learn it more long term in their brain. I think that was very, very correct.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of the research shows that some kids might be able to grasp it through just listening, but it goes usually deeper when they're actually writing and engaging with it. So, anything else?
I agree with both of the videos. I just think language arts and writing is just so important throughout your whole life with anything. And you know, with some of your subjects, they have the open-end questions. You know, if it's a history class or something, they might have on the test an open-end, and you have to know how to write. And that's, you know, in a different subject area, not just your language arts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Okay, and once again, this is just explaining why all teachers should know about this topic, why it's important no matter what content area you teach. Teachers of all content areas, even specialists, can and should include writing in their instruction. Specialists being art, music, phys ed, even. There's ways they can all include writing. Some teachers who teach literacy are elementary school teachers, so they're responsible for all the content areas across the day. So not only do they need to know how to approach writing in a way in terms of literacy, such as teaching the kids how to write, they also need to know how to use writing to learn. Like we saw the science elementary school teacher, she had to change gears with the teachers or with the students and say, you're writing as a scientist now, you're writing as a mathematician, you're not writing stories and essays and things like that. So it's a matter of getting kids to think differently about writing depending what content area they're in. Literacy leaders, such as a reading specialist or a literacy coach or a literacy supervisor, needs to be aware of these strategies so that they can assist and guide those who teach in the content areas. A lot of times, like I said before, the content area teachers don't know how to approach reading and writing in their classrooms, and they look to the people that are literacy leaders to guide them, to come in and do model lessons, to give them strategies on how to include this in their classroom. So those people have to be extremely well versed in these kind of strategies. And these strategies can be adapted and used in a literacy classroom as well. So since you're the literacy teacher, you might be thinking, well, I don't teach necessarily a content area outside of language arts, why do I need to know these? But the strategies you're going to see today can easily be adapted and used in a language arts classroom. Not all writing in a literacy classroom needs to be process writing. It doesn't need to go from brainstorming to publishing. It could be quick, short things such as these. So it can be used in any area. What are some benefits that you guys think that writing would have in the content areas? I mean, you mentioned some things before. Is there anything else? In terms of, think of the kids in the classroom. Do you think they would enjoy writing or no in the content areas? If it's done?
I think that the main benefit in math would be to kids learn differently. So some kids that are visual learners, it may be beneficial to them to write everything down and allow them to learn learn the same strategy a different way.
A different way. Okay, that's very true. So basically, writing can be fun, creative, and it can be an outlet for some students. Some students use it as a way to release their opinions, their thoughts, and emotions. So it could be used in that aspect. In the content areas, writing is a place where they can write without fear of typical writing assessment. So in language arts class, most of the writing they do is assessed in terms of how well it's written. The content areas gives them a place to write without that fear. It's not always about their spelling and their grammar. Their writing is based off of can they show understanding of what they're learning. So that it kind of takes away a little bit of that fear that a lot of kids have in connection to writing. Writing helps them organize what they have learned and make sense of it, as we mentioned before. It can be used to reflect and admit when they do not understand something. So you'll see at the end of the workshop, you'll do like a reflection type of writing, and that's a time the kids could use that to say, without telling other people, I don't understand what we learned today, or I don't understand this part of the lesson. And they can write about that, and then the teacher will better know what they have to go back and reteach or what kids are struggling. And like I just mentioned, in terms of the benefits for the teacher, it helps you learn a lot about your students, and it helps you to know what they know and what they don't know still, based off of the reflection. Okay, so the first strategy that I want to focus on today is called raft. And if you look over here, we'll get to this in a second, but this is basically what I'm going to be focusing on for this strategy. So the purpose of the raft, which stands for role, audience, format, and topic, is a writing strategy that helps students understand a topic from different perspectives. The raft strategy provides a focused writing assignment and encourages students to analyze the content while assuming different roles and addressing different audiences. The strategy motivates students by allowing for choice and involving them in the topic in a personal way. So for example, the one up here is for math, and it mainly focuses on fractions, different aspects of fractions. And it could be used for 5th or 6th grade. So this is basically what the kids would be getting if they were doing this writing assignment in math. So they would have 4 choices. The first role they would be pretending to be a fraction. They would be writing to their audience, which is a struggling math student. The format would be a friendly note or a letter, and the topic is that they would be giving hints or tricks to remember about fractions to the struggling student. So they're writing about math, but in a fun, creative way. And when they get the raft assignment like this, they can choose which role, audience, format, and topic they feel most comfortable with. So kids, especially in middle school and high school, love having choice. When they're given one option, they usually don't want to do it. They want to have choice in what they're doing. So this is great because it gives choice, and it allows a lot of different writing formats to be practiced, and it also engages with the content area. You can differentiate this strategy by allowing for the students, if you have higher level students in the class, they could come up with the role, the audience, the format, and the topic, and think about it in that perspective instead of you coming up with it. So it can be adapted depending on the levels of the students as well. Okay, so before you guys practice the strategy yourselves, I have a sample raft up here. This one was for science. I think it was for 9th grade. So the role was the student pretended to be a cherry, and you'll understand more in a minute. The audience was they were writing to a heavy rock. The format, they had to write a condolence note. And the topic was the big upset, that's what the teacher called it. And basically the cherry and the rock had to fall from the top of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And it was a science experiment to see who would reach the ground first. So the student had to explain what happened. So basically it says, "Dear heavy rock," and remember they're pretending to be the cherry. "I'm very sorry that there was no true winner of the big race at the Tower of Pisa, but I suppose it's always good to know that a heavy rock and a little cherry will fall at the same rate. If you would like to try again, I will, but I know the results will be the same. The reason is because gravity pulls everything down with the same amount of force, no matter the weight. Crazy, right? Most people thought you would win, but I knew better. Sorry again. Sincerely, little cherry." So the student was able to pretend that they were the cherry, which is kind of silly, but it gets them writing. It's short, to the point, and by reading that, the teacher can say, oh, she understands why this happened in terms of science. So the teacher wouldn't necessarily be assessing her writing. She would be assessing the science content that she included in there in the explanation. So that's an example of what a raft would look like. It's not anything long or detailed. It's very specific. Any questions?
No.
So it's always good for teachers in workshops to at least try out some of the strategies that you're learning about, so you can practice it and see how the students would feel if they had to do it as well. So we won't be doing that for all of the strategies, but this is kind of a more fun one, so I figure this one would be good to try. Also in workshops, not everything needs to be a finished product, so if you get a couple sentences done, that's fine. It's just to give you a taste of what it would be like. So if you want, I can give you the dry erase board back, or you can use the back of the paper, whatever you feel more comfortable with. If you would need to talk to each other about it, you can. I'll give you about another minute or two. If you don't finish, that's fine. Okay, now the topics I gave you guys were not really content-based. Not much was about science or literacy, but obviously you could include whatever roles, audience, topics, formats you wanted to include in your classroom based off of the content. But for today's purposes, I didn't make it content-based. But you don't have to share. If you want to, you can. But
I won't. You
both
won't.
of you don't need to.
I chose the last one. My role was a mother. My audience is a child, and I'm writing a letter. Is for the format, and the topic is most important life advice. So I wrote, "Dear kids, though there are many things in life that are important, if I need to pick out one thing that is most important, it would be true to yourself."
You want to go, Will? Do you want to? Alright, go ahead. Wait, tell what your thing was.
I picked the soccer player. The audience was the coach, and the format was a persuasive paragraph, and the topic was why I should start the game.
So this one would most likely be used in a literacy setting. Persuasive writing is a big push in language arts classrooms today, so that would probably be used for language arts, but okay, go ahead.
I said, Coach Brown, during the summer I have completed all the summer camps and drills that I've been asked. I practice soccer every day and even worked on my footwork. I feel that I have put in enough hard work to start the first game of the season.
Okay, so you didn't finish, but that would be a good start. And students would really enjoy having the choice of what role audience they would like to use. I've actually used this in my classroom in language arts and social studies, and the kids really like it. It gets them thinking and lets them go outside of their own world for a little bit and things like that. So personally, I've had success with it. But any questions about that strategy? No? Okay. All right. The second one is called